Memon. Let's start chapter 2. The cell. The cell. Cell. You might have seen the construction of a building. Each building is made up of many bricks, and each brick represents the unit of a house. In the same way, the living things are made up of numerous biological units. Each unit is called the cell. Cell is the smallest structural and functional unit of all the living organisms. The cell is also a basic unit of biological hierarchy, which includes cell, tissue, organ, organisms. On the basis of cellular structure, organisms are of two types. 1. Unicellular organisms. Some organisms are made up of a single cell. They can be observed only with the help of microscope. Therefore, they are called microscopic organisms. Example: amoeba, paramecium, chlamydomonas, bacteria, etc. 2. Multicellular organisms. There are numerous cells which are present in the living body, and different cells perform their life activities in a coordinated manner. Such organisms are called multicellular organisms. Example: cat, man, trees, etc. Discovery of cell. Robert Hooke, 1665, first discovered a thin section of cork under a compound microscope and found that the bottle cork was made up of many small empty boxes or cavities surrounded by definite walls. He named this honeycomb structure as cell. Pourquin, in 1839, firstly proposed the term protoplasm for the jelly-like living substance of the cell. Robert Brown, 1831, observed a skeletal body in the cell called nucleus. Colliker, 1862, proposed the term cytoplasm to the living material surrounding the nucleus. Cell theory. The cell theory was jointly put forward by two German scientists, Schleiden and Schwann, 1839. This theory states that 1. Every living organism is made up of one cell or many cells. 2. A cell is the structural and functional unit of a living organism. 3. New cells arise by the division of pre-existing cells. Cell shape. Cells are of various shapes, which may be spherical, oval, elongated, or columnar. Amoeba is irregular in shape, and it keeps on changing its shape. Chlamydomonas is pear-shaped. Notice, Robert Hooke coined the term cells. In Latin, it means small room. Latin word for cell is cellula. Cell size. The size of cell varies in different organisms. The smallest cells are of microplasma, 0.0001 millimeter, while the largest animal cell is of ostrich's egg, measures about 170 by 135 millimeter. The smallest cell of human body is blood platelets, 0.002 to 0.003 millimeter, while the largest size cell, nerve cell, about 1 meter. In plants, the largest cell is of green algae. Acetabularia measures about 6 to 10 centimeter. Mycoplasma are small, free-living particles with characteristics of both bacteria and viruses. Types of cells. Cells are of two types. 1. Prokaryotic cells. These are the most primitive cells. They lack true nucleus and nuclear membrane. Example, bacteria, blue-green algae. 2. Eukaryotic cells. These are the cells which with two nucleus. Nucleus is always enclosed by nuclear membrane. Example, fungi, plants and animals. Activity. Take an onion, peel out its inner thin membrane with a fleshy leaf. Cut it into several small pieces with the help of forceps. Put this in the water containing petri dish. Transfer it to another petri dish containing saffron for 1 to 2 minutes. Finally, transfer this thin slice to a slide containing a drop of glycerin and cover it with the cover slip. Observe the cells under microscope. Let us study more about the shape and size of cells. As you can see in this diagram, the human body is made up of different types of cells. For example, liver, bone, lung, brain, blood, heart, muscle, etc. Let us study about multicellular organisms. For example, the multicellular organisms like human beings are made up of many cells. For example, you can take skin, the skin of the organism. This skin is made up of many cells, numerous cells. This skin is used for protection. Our body gets protection with the help of these skin cells, as you can see in the picture. If we consider a single cell, you can see the shape of this in the diagram. Now, if we take group of such cells, single cells, then we can see the picture like this. The group of these single cells can form skin, which is a protecting layer around us or around human body. Similarly, let us consider now the muscle cells. As you can see in the diagram, these muscle cells are used for movement and they are also of different shape. Let us see. As I told you, muscle cells is used for giving movement. Now let us consider its shape. The shape of muscle cells is spindle shape. As you can see, spindle shape in the diagram. As you can see in the diagram, rod-like shape. Single muscle cell is made up of long rod-like shape, and it is the bunch of cells. As we know, they are smaller than the skin cells, and their shape is also different from the skin cell, which means the shape of skin cell and muscle cell both are different from each other, as it is shown in the diagram. Now let me explain in detail. As you can see in the diagram, skeletal muscle are rod-like shaped and they are surrounded by the bony structure of our body, which means the structure which contain bones in it. Similarly, if you see another type of cells like smooth cell, cardiac muscle cell, they are of different types. Now take for example smooth muscles. Smooth muscle cells are of spindle shaped, as you can see in the diagram. Now what are cardiac muscle? Cardiac muscle are also different type of cell which are surrounded by our heart. Now that means our heart is surrounded by cardiac muscle cells. The shape of cardiac muscle is also different from the other two types of cells. They are like fibers of thread. They are branched with each other, and the skeletal muscles are cylindrical in shape. This means all the three types of cells are of different shape and size, and their functions are also different from each other, as you can see in the diagram. Now let us consider another type of cell, the cells contained in the blood, which means blood contains different types of cells Blood is the fluid flowing in the body of a human being. Their functions are also different from each other. Let us consider it in detail. As you can see in the diagram, there are two types of cells shown. One is red blood cell and another is white blood cell. They are having different shapes, size and functions, as you can see here. Now let us study each of them in detail as shown in the diagram. These red blood cells, which are also called red blood corpuscles, these red blood cells, also called RBC, are small and round in shape. The function is to transport oxygen to all the parts of our body. These RBC present in blood transport oxygen, which is required for the process of respiration, or we call it as breathing. Now in the diagram, another cell, that is white blood cell, is shown. Let us study it. These white blood cells are of different types and they are having different function, but their main function is to provide defense in the body. They provide defense from other foreign bodies, which means these white blood cells protect the body from having infection. If you are having any infection, this white blood cell will act as a defense mechanism. As I told you earlier, these red blood cells are also called RBC, that means red blood cells, and these white blood cells are also called WBCs, which means white blood cells. Now let us consider another types of cell. If you are touching any hot or cold object, or if you are having any vibrating sensation in the body, or if you are feeling any type of sensation, then we have to study about these nerve cells. We can feel this sensation with the help of these nerve cells present in our body, as you can see in the diagram. These nerve cells are long and branched. These nerve cells are also called neurons. There are so many nerve cells or these neurons present in our body. Their function is to transport messages from one part of our body to another part of our body. As I told you earlier, that the shape of these nerve cells or these neurons is long and branched, and they are different from another types of cells as we studied earlier, the skin cell or the muscle cell. Now let's have a look at another picture. As shown in the diagram, a single nerve cell or a single nephron. As you can see, it is long in size and it is also branched. These branched are help for stimulating messages. So in this multicellular organism, there are different types of cells, and these different types of cells perform different functions. Similarly, in different types of animals like cat, dog, etc., these different types of cells are present. These different types of cells are having different shape, different size, and many other different types of function, like for example muscle cell, skin cells, and nerve cells, etc. Structure of plant and animal cell. The activities of life processes take place in the cells. A typical cell consists of these parts: 1. Cell membrane, 2. Cytoplasm, 3. Nucleus. Cell membrane or plasma membrane. It is a thin, transparent and flexible living membrane which forms the outer boundary of the cell. It surrounds the protoplasm. Cytoplasm and nucleus together constitute the protoplasm, and it is composed of lipids, fatty molecules and proteins. Functions: 1. It is semi-permeable membrane, that is, permits only those substances to pass through that are needed by the cytoplasm. 2. It protects the cell 3. It gives definite shape to the cell, especially animal cells. Cell wall. In plant cells, an additional wall called cell wall is present which surrounds the cell membrane. It is a non-living layer made up of cellulose. Cell wall gives shape and rigidity to the cell and protects the protoplasm. Cytoplasm. It is the part of the protoplasm present between the plasma membrane and nucleus. It is a colorless and transparent fluid inside the cell membrane. All the vital functions applied take place in the cytoplasm. Cytoplasm contains many tiny structures called cell organelles. The main cell organelles present in cytoplasm are mitochondria. They may be spherical, oval, or rod-shaped. They are present in animal as well as plant cells and are responsible for the synthesis and storage of energy released by the oxidation of food. They are also called powerhouse of the cell. The mitochondria are bounded by a double-layered membrane. The inner membrane is enfolded to form many projections, which are called cristae. Inside the mitochondria, there is a hollow cavity called mitochondrial chamber. Functions. Their function is to generate and store energy. Golgi body. They occur near the nucleus of the cell and consist of stacks of thread-like thin membranes of variable shapes and sizes. Functions. They are involved in the cell secretion. Plastids. They occur only in plant cells and are of different colors. Plants use them for storage and manufacturing of food materials. They are of three types. 1. Chloroplast. They are green chlorophyll pigments which are mainly found in the leaves and green part of the stem. It helps in the synthesis of food through the process of photosynthesis. They are also called kitchen of the cell. 2. Leucoplasts. They are colorless plastids and found in the storage organs, example, potato, onion. 3. Chromoplasts. These are colored plastids other than green plastids. The color of flowers and fruits are due to chromoplast. Functions of plastids. Their main function is to manufacture and storage of food. Endoplasmic reticulum. These are interconnected hollow canals found between the nucleus and the cell wall. The walls of endoplasmic reticulum may be smooth or rough. Functions. They help in transporting the material through cytoplasm. Rough-surfaced endoplasmic reticulum is involved in protein synthesis. Vacuole. These are balloons-like empty structures which are present mostly in plant cells. They contain dissolved materials like sugar, salt, and organic acids. The fluid is called cell sap. These are temporary, small-sized in animal cells, while plant cells has a permanent single large central vacuole and surrounded by a living semi-permeable membrane called tonoplast. Functions. They act like reservoirs of secretory and excretory materials and help in water storage within the cells. Centrosome. They are star-shaped bodies present in pairs near the nucleus and are found only in animal cells. Each consists of two dot-like bodies called centrioles. Functions. They help in cell division. Ribosome. The rough surface endoplasmic reticulum contains some granular structures which are spherical in shape called ribosomes. Functions. Their main function is protein synthesis in the cell. Lysosome. They occur only in animal cells and have fat-like structures. They contain some digestive enzymes. Functions. Lysosomes provide defense against bacteria and viruses and also help in digestion. So they are called digestive bags. Nucleus. In the cell, there is a spherical body called nucleus, which is the most important and acts as a director. Nucleus controls all the vital activities of the cell. A cell without nucleus is considered to be dead and is not capable of growth and cell division. It consists of these parts. 1. Nuclear membrane. The membrane which separates the nucleus from cytoplasm. It has certain pores which allows the exchange of materials between nucleus and cytoplasm. 2. Nucleoplasm. It is the transparent fluid filled inside the nucleus. 3. Nucleolus. Small spherical naked without membrane structures found inside the nucleus. It contains ribonucleic acid RNA. 4. Chromosomes. They are thread-like structures and consist of deoxyribonucleic acid, DNA, and proteins. They bear genes that carry and transfer hereditary characters from one generation to the next. Functions of nucleus. Nucleus is the controlling center of the cell. It contains hereditary material called genes. Genes transfer the characters from one generation to the next. Nucleus also plays a significant role in growth and cell division.